know, Alabama State is always doing something out of character, but this is really not out of character. But we wanted to have a commencement speaker that you will remember that stands very tall. We have a person that's going to introduce the speaker who's also labored around this campus for 50 years. He's a member of your class, okay? A member of your class. And that's Representative Alvin Holmes, who will introduce our speaker for today. So let's give Representative Holmes a big round of applause. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Dean, to the Board of Trustees, administration, faculty, students, parents, ladies and gentlemen, and class of 1962. To my distinguished colleagues in the Alabama House of Representatives, Representative John Knight, and I understand State Representative Yvonne Kennedy from Mobile is here. Yvonne, you here? Raise your hand. Okay, so State Representative Yvonne Kennedy from Mobile. I do not possess that eloquency of diction, neither that poetry of imagination, nor that brilliancy of metaphor to tell you how happy I am to introduce my good friend, Dr. William H. Harris, the president of Alabama State University. Normally, when you introducing a person, you will give the degrees earned and the various schools that attended. I won't deal with that today. I will mention that Dr. Harris received a PhD in the 20s. I think he was about 25 or 26, 1 or 2 years older than when Dr. Martin Luther King received a PhD in systematic theology from Boston University. I want to mention about Dr. Harris, his love for ASU, its faculty and students. As a member of the Alabama House of Representatives, we must work close together because Alabama State is a state-funded school by the Alabama legislature. And I want to say to the students, I want to say to the faculty, that you don't know how hard Dr. Harris worked to make sure that Alabama State University was given the appropriate amount of money in the budget in the Alabama legislature. Now, the powerful lobbyists in the Alabama legislature, as far as schools and colleges and universities are concerned, are Auburn University of Alabama. But Dr. Harris would call me late at night, and he would say, "Alvin, I'm calling you." And I said, "Dr. Harris, why are you calling me so late?" He said, "I want a report on ASU budget." I called John Knight. I said, "The president just called and he wants us to give him a report on the budget." He said, "Tell him we'll give him a report in the morning." He worked real hard. He stated to me on many occasions that when the Alabama legislature put forth the mechanism that they're going to use the same formula in funding all of the state-supported institutions, he stated to me that, "Alvin, we need some catch-up money. We can't go by that formula. He said, do you remember the many years when the Alabama legislature mistreated Alabama State and mistreated Alabama A&M? There were 2 years where the Alabama legislature refused to fund Alabama State and Alabama A&M. Dr. H. Council Trenholm, the president of Alabama State, asked the teachers to state that we need to educate these young boys and girls. Not one teacher left. The parents would bring food up here on the weekend to give to the teachers because they knew they were not being paid. They would have, Dr. Harris mentioned how they would have the budget hearings on the floor of the House of Representatives, and all the state college presidents will come and give testimony before the budget committee concerning the needs of their particular institution. They made Dr. H. Council Trenholm the president of Alabama State, and Dr. Joseph Drake, the president of Alabama A&M, sit in the rotunda on a little bench. They was not allowed on the floor of the Alabama House of Representatives to give testimony concerning the money they need to run the institution. And when the chairman of the budget committee would finish, he would walk out and said to Dr. Trenholm and Dr. Drake, "This is the amount we gonna give you boys. You can go back to your schools now." Dr. Drake had a PhD from Cornell University. Dr. Trenholm had a PhD from the University of Chicago. And the chairman of the committee had a 9th grade education. Dr. Harris said to me, "Alvin, we have had a long struggle. They have mistreated ASU over the years, but that's all right. Weeping endureth for night, but joy cometh in the morning." Dr. Harris' position that the students at Alabama State are just as intelligent, cultured, and refined as students anywhere. Dr. Harris stated that, "Show me a Michigan State and I will show you an Alabama State. Show me a New York University and I will show you an Alabama State University." I know I graduated from Alabama State. Most of the graduates in the Alabama legislature are from Alabama and Auburn. We have some that are graduates of Ivy League colleges and universities. Just the other day, on the floor of the House of Representatives, I went to the mic and I said, "Mr. Speaker," he said, "I recognize the gentleman from Montgomery County." I said, "I'm going to ask you to rule that this bill is null and void, ab initio, because under Alabama state statute, you can't charge a person with a misdemeanor unless it's committed in his presence." And when I was going back to my seat, one of the other members of the House asked me, he said, "Alvin, what did you mean by that, asking the Speaker to declare this bill null and void ab initio?" I said, "Well, Dr. Bryson and then Dr. Walton, they taught us that at Alabama State. You mean to tell me they didn't teach y'all that at Alabama and Auburn University?" Dr. Harris, you have done a good job. Look at all these buildings going around. He wanted to make sure that the students had adequate classrooms and dormitories, materials. One of the biggest building programs in the history of any school in the state of Alabama. And Dr. Harris, I'm going to ask you to come up in a few minutes. But I want to say this, Dr. Harris, you need no praise from me, for you have written your own history, and you have written it in the hearts and minds of young students over your professional career. And Dr. Harris, you have weathered the storm. You have paid the price. You have run a good race. You have finished the course. 50, 100 years from now, our children and their children will ask the question, did you ever know Dr. William H. Harris? They will say, no, I never met him, but I used to hear the old folks talk about him. They said he was a person who had the faith of Abraham. He had the patience of Job. He had the courage of a David among the Goliaths. He had the persistence of a Joshua around the walls of Jericho. He had the wisdom of Solomon. Dr. Harris, come on up. Let's give him a big round of applause. I hope I do good.
You did great. I had to rethink my comments because this is the second commencement address today. Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the Board of Trustees, members of the university's leadership and its distinguished faculty, members of this graduating class and the bridge class of 1962, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this commencement. My journey to this valedictory moment began 17 years ago when in this place I spoke about a vision for Alabama State University that would transform it into an institution unlike the one we inherited. In that moment, we announced a vision for the university that was bold, aggressive, and doable. A virtual confluence of ideas, thoughts, people, path, expectations, triumphs, and yes, failures has brought us here today to celebrate this class of 2012, who have been the beneficiaries of the significant contributions of so many men and women, faculty members and staff members, and the leadership of the Board of Trustees, who have made it possible to have a truly transformed Alabama State University. The transformation has been both broad and deep and has impacted every aspect of the university, from its physical structure to the programmatic offerings that, lo these many years ago, were not even propositions that are now fully subscribed to those who truly seek new occasions. We acknowledge new occasions teach new duties. We each found ourselves in the midst of a new occasion. We have each labored to learn new duties. The journey from that inauspicious occasion to this graduation was marked by numerous milestones. Perhaps most memorable and important was the decision in Knight et al. Versus Alabama in 1995. For those of you who may not be familiar with Knight versus Alabama, it was a landmark higher education desegregation case of which State Representative John F. Knight was the named plaintiff. a landmark higher education desegregation case which sought to achieve state funding for Alabama A&M University and Alabama State University on an equal level with the funding from other state-supported institutions. Representative Holmes talked about the struggle that had existed in our state previous to the decree in Knight. Some would believe that all changes that were effected simply happened. Such thoughts would be in error, for they did not just happen. They were the result of numerous conversations, much research and thought, and indeed prayer. They were the result of good lawyering. We prepared papers, we argued with lawyers, we conferred with judges, but most important, we won. From that came the basic wherewithal for a profoundly transformed Alabama State University. Had it not been for the results of Knight versus the state of Alabama, this transformed ASU would not have occurred during our lifetime. Had it not been for the decision in Knight versus Alabama, this transformation of Alabama State University would not have occurred during our lifetime. And so, we celebrate the transformation of the academic enterprise of Alabama State University, an academic transformation that includes new program offerings in some of the nation's most highly sought-after programs of study that include forensic science, prosthetics and orthotics, applied technology and dance, doctorates of physical therapy, lots of stuff that didn't exist when the class of '62 received their degrees. We have awarded the first PhD degrees in the history of Alabama State University just last year. New academic leadership and new academic facilities are in place, including what to me is the crown jewel, the renewed and expanded Levi Watkins Learning Resources Center, which is indeed a gem of a place to study, to learn, and to teach. We celebrate the transformation of the operations and services of the university. This transformation includes new residence halls, new athletic facilities, and especially the John Garrick Hardy Student Services Center that was opened last week just for you in this class because we promised that it would be open for the spring of 2012. We promised it, and we did it. We enjoy new landscaping and a fleet of easily identifiable buses. Those buses spread our name and show our brand on the highways, on the byways, and now on my way. We laud our A ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's, unqualified opinions on all audits of the university's finances and operations, the university's announcement of having an economic impact that approaches $1 billion upon the state of Alabama, and especially upon the River Bend area. All of those things are what we do as a part of ASU. We also recognize the stellar winning championships and athletic teams and new standards by which we shall operate. This only scratches the surface of what has occurred during this period of transformation at our ASU. I could go on, but in the interest of time, I will stop there. It is this transformed ASU and its graduates that we celebrate today. While I celebrate this transformation with you today, I must remind you that a transformation is not a destination. It is a part of a journey. I proudly celebrate my journey with this class of 2012, my classmates. We are classmates in the sense that when you started as freshmen, that is those of you who are getting your first degree, in 2008, I started anew at ASU. Now you look at me and say, you don't look like you started with us. But at least let me be a transfer student with the class of 2012 so that I can make my point. I hope my presence as a student in this class shows that learning is a lifelong experience. I had long experience. At all levels, when we came back in 2008, I have learned much at Alabama State University during these 4 years. It is my sincere and profound hope that you have too. For me, the ASU I see today is not the same ASU as when we began. In that same manner, you are not the same person who came to the university in 2008. Like the institution, we have overcome obstacles, accepted new challenges, grown significantly, and strengthened our resolve to be transformed. Transformation is not a journey. Transformation is a commitment. We must be unrelenting, unstoppable, forever gouging in order to transform ourselves, just as we use it to transform our university. You have overcome obstacles. Some of them I know about and you have shared with me, and others I can only imagine. There's a song that Peabo Bryson made famous that goes in part, "Into every life some rain must fall." Now some of you are saying, who in the world is Peabo Bryson? But he was cool when, it was cool at one point. You have each experienced your own share of rainy days, and those days have been marked by varying degrees of accumulation. It may have been a drizzle of a challenging roommates who used your things without asking, sat on your bed, ate your food, or snored all night. Or an afternoon shower of an eccentric professor who assigned challenging projects, gave impossible deadlines or exhaustive group assignments where you became a group of one. You may have experienced a downpour that included financial hardship that made you wonder how in the world you could pay your bills, survive for another semester of figuring out how to work full-time and go to school full-time at the same time. It might have been even a thunderstorm, like the loss of a family member or a friend. Don't believe that the success of earning a degree, which we celebrate today, means that the obstacles you face in life will end. They will not. I assure you they will continue and at a greater level. Booker T. Washington said in part, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles that he has overcome." End of quote. You have overcome and made it through the rain. You have survived, and you are here not only to tell the story, but to show the good that comes from the rain. You, my classmates, are the flowers that have blossomed after the rain. You have accepted the new challenges. When you arrived at orientation, you believed that you were adults the moment your parents said goodbye and made their way back to your hometown. Although you believed it, you were not right. The maturation process was just beginning. Therefore, you could not imagine the challenges that would be before you. You had faculty members who challenged you about not only the subject matter that they taught, but about your ideas about the world and your way of thinking. Fellow classmates who challenged you to appreciate the world's diversity and to better understand and value differences of others. You were challenged by your family to come to ASU and earn a degree in order to be an example for younger family members and friends and neighbors to make a better life for yourself and others. You've been challenged by teammates, sorority sisters, fraternity brothers, coaches, dormitory directors, advisors, staff, and alumni to go farther, aim higher, and excel beyond measure. That is the challenge that is still before you. My classmates, you have done all this and more. You are amongst a small percentage of the population who shall boast, "I have made it through the challenges I faced. I have earned a degree." A degree from Alabama State University, no less. You are a beautiful illustration of John Brown's idea that a challenge is an opportunity to prove yourself to yourself and to others. You have definitely proven yourself. You have grown significantly. And I do not refer to the stature or girth, although both I and some of my classmates are a little thicker than we were when we started this journey. I speak of your intellectual capacity. It was not my expectation, the expectation of the faculty or of your family, that you would depart Alabama State University the same way you arrived. If you are the same person today that you were 4 or 5 years ago, we have failed. I do not mean that because you are educated and have earned a degree that you should look down on others, become so uppity that only you can stand to be with you in the same room. Only you can stand to be with you in the same room is not a good place to be. What I speak of is a changing of your mind. The boundaries of your mind have expanded. The way you think, act, and experience life should be far different today than if you had never entered these hallowed halls. You should now, more than ever, understand that education happens inside and outside of the classroom, that every day you learn something from somebody, and that your education has only just begun. If we have done our job, we have created world-ready graduates. If we have done our jobs, we have created world-ready graduates. Though the major thrust of my comments to this point have centered on undergraduates, we also must take this moment to recognize those who, through dedication and determination, are receiving graduate degrees. That occurrence also helps to make manifest the importance of Knight v. Alabama and its continuing impact on the transformation of ASU. For you see, in large measure, the award of these postgraduate degrees by ASU would not have been possible without it. So I say to you, we salute you on this significant milestone in your successful careers and your commitment to the contribution to lifelong learning. And now, to all of you, those who graduate, those who are in our audience, remember it is not all about you. Position yourself to help someone else as others helped you. You have already proven that you have a capacity to give. And as an aside, I'm pleased to announce that this class will start a new method of giving to Alabama State University, which we will recognize at a later point in this program. You, my friends, are taking care of those who will follow you. Your class is an example of successive generations to follow. Please join me in applauding this class for stretching their capacity to give. But that is not enough. Be prepared for the opportunities that await you. Remember, you and your classmates are among the thousands who will be graduating across our nation and around the world this week and the next several weeks. Thousands. You must be prepared to embrace them, to compete with them, and to outdistance them. That is what this education has been about. Don't let this be the end. Continue to educate yourself. Be flexible and ready for whatever opportunity the world avails to you. Someone said luck is what occurs when preparation and opportunity meet. You should be the luckiest folks on earth. You are an ASU graduate, so you are world ready. You must be ready for the world, for what the world has to offer you. The maturation process has taken you from ours and your parents as little ones to find upstanding young men and women who will most assuredly forge ahead to do great things in the world. Not all just young women, by the way. One member of this class came to me yesterday afternoon and said he has been working toward his baccalaureate degree over a period of 40 years, and he is here today to receive his diploma. You have been transformed. As I began this address, I mentioned my 17-year history with ASU. In my inaugural in 1995, I set forth what I believed and continue to believe are the 6 areas of basic responsibilities of a university president. In my valedictory, I returned to those ideas and responsibilities, and affirm that these responsibilities are not germane only to a president, but to all learned people everywhere. These ethoses can be the basis of living a happy, successful life and continuously transformed life. Today, I'd like to paraphrase that list in charging you to live meaningful life. First, maintain integrity. Integrity in your lives. Second, ensure your personal fiscal integrity so that you can be sure that life can be abundant. Third, ensure the integrity of any household you establish. Fourth, be fair to and just with whomever you come into contact. Fifth, create and maintain a holistic and wholesome environment. Sixth, and perhaps most important, be involved. One cannot be an island unto itself. One must be a part of the main. Only by being a part of the main can you make a difference. We have done our part. You have done your part to get here. We both must continue to do a part to go further. May God bless you as you go forward on this journey of transformation. May it never end for you.